This is a demonstration on how I like to cast on two double-pointed needles for knitting things like socks, gloves, or sleeves. I like to work with 3 needles in a triangle and a 4th needle to work around. So to get started, I'm going to cast on a little bit more than 1/3 of my stitches onto my first needle. I'm going to do a total of 24, so I could do 10 on this one to be a little bit over 1/3. This is a long tail cast on. I have a separate video on how to do that if you don't know how. Other cast ons work just fine as well. So at 10 stitches, they're a little bit loose to keep it stretchy. I'm going to slide those to the center of that needle, get my left hand set up as if I'm ready to start the new stitch, and then just let the old needle dangle. A little different angle here because I'm close to a table, but normally I just kind of flip some flops around and that's fine. Take a second to make sure the first stitch on this new needle is nice and close to the last stitch on the previous needle, and then I keep going. And this one I am going to do 1/3, so we'll do 8 on this needle. 5, 8, and again slide those to the middle, let it dangle, and start with my new needle. This feels a little awkward, but once you've got 2 or 3 stitches on the new needle, it gets better. So then we'll do the last 6 stitches here. So it is totally fine to put 1/3 of your stitches each on 3 needles, but I find it makes the join a little bit delicate and you can get a loose spot. So I like to do this where I have a couple stitches more on the first needle, a couple stitches less on the last needle. And then before I introduce my 4th empty needle to work around, I'm going to put my marker on, and then I'm going to work a couple of stitches on my next needle here. So I'm going to do a knit 2, purl 2, rib. So I'm going to go ahead and knit 2 and then purl 2. So it's a full repeat because it's really nice to have each needle have a full repeat on it. Now I'm going to introduce my new empty needle. Turn this just a little bit to rearrange my hands. You notice I'm holding around this needle that I'm not working with, but it kind of is corralled in my hand here and has a space to hang out. And then again, I'm going to knit 2, purl 2, and knit 2. And right now I'm partway through the repeat, which is okay if you can track it, but to make life easier, I'm going to go ahead and purl 2 from the next needle so that I have 2 full repeats here. Now I could have done a little math and figured that out before I cast on to see exactly how many to put on each place. I didn't. This was working too. And then here's my final needle that I haven't yet worked on this round. And again, I'm going to knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, and just like before, I'm going to go ahead and purl 2 more from the next needle so I have my full repeat. So now I have worked with every needle here, but I'm not quite done my round because I have my marker here. So the beginning of the round started here. So these are still cast on stitches. I need to work my first round on those as well. So we'll do a knit 2, purl 2. And then I'm ready to start my second round. And this tends to get a little loose. Try to ignore it. Don't stop and fuss or move this yarn tail. Just keep going, it'll be fine. And then immediately move your marker and immediately start the next round. Again, you don't want to stop and fuss and fiddle with things right at that marker because then you can stress and stretch out this join because it's a little tenuous. But now you can see that looks pretty good. It's nice and attached. When I weave in this yarn tail, I can weave it in so that it makes that join even stronger. But by having the join in the middle of the needle instead of at an intersection, which is already a bit of a stress point, you tend not to get quite as much of a loose space. So here I'd be ready to keep working around. And every time I have an empty needle in my left hand, it becomes my new right hand needle. Give everything a turn and just keep going. Double pointed needles are a little bit more awkward than straight needles or circular needles, but they're really not that hard. And it's pretty cool to be able to knit small circumferences seamlessly.